Hello everyone and welcome back to another single button build video. Today we're going to talk about the Brewmaster Monk, and in this video we're going to go through the stats, talents, rotation and gameplay. So basically when you're finished watching this video you will know everything about the stats you need, the talents you need, the rotation you should follow, you know, kind of like with your utility spells, defensives and so on. And also I will show in the very end a 10-minute clip of me doing a dungeon where I will keep talking through the dungeon, kind of like saying I'm going to do this, so you kind of get like an understanding on how it actually works in real life. So this build here is intended for new people, beginners, casual people, veterans. You know, it's a fun tank build that everyone can play with. I can recommend doing this for normal dungeon, heroic dungeons, time walking dungeons, looking for raid, time walking raid, even normal raid. The healer builds I made, I wouldn't recommend those for maybe normal raid, but this one here, the tank build here, can easily do normal raid. You can even do mythic keys. Like I don't think that would be an issue using this build from like mythic key 1 to 10, I guess, maybe 1 to 5, because in the end you're basically using your normal rotation. It's a really good rotation that it uses, but it's of course up to you how many of the other spells you're going to use. Are you going to be using your self heal? Are you going to be interrupting? Are you going to crowd control? That is basically why, if this build works for you in high keys, you can for sure use this in high keys, no problem at all. But it all comes down to you. If you just want to press 1 1 1 2 3 and 1 1 2 3, then you can stay like a normal heroic mythic 0. That's fine, no problem. But if you also use your other utilities, which I will talk about in the rotation and gameplay part, then you can for sure play this in higher. I keep kind of like forgetting to talk about that in my other videos, but that's because the tank builds are very close to like really good builds, where the healer builds I have made is a bit less like, it's a more funny casual builds which you just learn from, if you know what I mean. But let's get to the video. So first of all, we're going to talk about the stats. So basically we have two stat prioritization. We have one that is for the single button build, and we have one which is the meta that everyone else is using. So the single button build, of course, for both the single button and the meta, we want agility. The reason for why I'm saying agility is because, of course, all your gear has to use agility, but it will defaultly use that. You should always get agility gear. That's not the point of why I said agility. The reason why I'm saying agility is because I like to have the highest eye level. That means if you get two items that, you know, one item that doesn't have very nice second stats, but the other one has the highest eye level, I personally recommend always the highest eye level. It basically gives you more health, it gives you more armor, it gives you more main stat, which main stat is, you know, it does so much for you. So I would always say go with the highest eye level, whatever, like when you go into a raid or dungeon, always, if there's an item that has a high eye level and then what you have, take it. Take it now. Then, of course, if you get an item that is, you know, for example, you could see here, I have a helmet here which is in the champion tier. This is at the champion tier. If I get another helmet which is also in the upgrade level champion tier, then of course now we need to look at the stats. So, stats. First of all, after agility, versatility is Omega for Brewmaster Monks. It basically increases the damage we do, it increases the self-healing we do. Well, you can see increases damage and healing done by 6%. So both damage and healing increased. Very nice. It also decreases the damage you take as well. So for example, if you have 6% versatility, you deal 6% more damage, you heal 6% more, and then half of it you reduce in damage taken. So you can see it's just a really nice flat damage reduction and also damage increase and healing increase. Just very nice, very lovely for Brewmaster Monks. Then now we come to the part where we are a bit different. Because when you play with a single button build, haste is really nice. It increases the flow of the rotation, it makes the entire rotation faster, it reduces the global cooldown, and as you know, the single button assistant here does have a penalty on it. The global cooldown of abilities used through the single button assistant is 25% longer. So basically haste is making it faster, this entire global cooldown, which is of course a nice thing. The single button assistant doesn't always use the spells in the right order, and by having more haste, making the entire rotation a bit faster, it kind of, you know, it's kind of like okay that the rotation not is always perfect because it's a bit faster by having more haste. Then, if of course you are playing without the single button build, you're playing a normal build, then most people, the meta is recommending crit for just more damage. More damage, there's like a long explanation of why they want more damage, but they are playing with crit over, for example, haste. The next one here is, in my case, I would say crit, because it's a nice little damage buff for Brewmaster Monks, which everyone likes, and where everyone else, meta-wise, would be using Mastery in this case. And if we go into Mastery, we can see here that Mastery, there. Each time you are hit by a melee attack or hit with blackout kick, so basically when you hit with blackout kick, you gain a stacking 8% increased dodge chance until you next successfully dodge. Also increase attack power. The thing with dodge is that it's a nice thing, but if you're against like a boss who throws spells, like a spellcaster boss, then he doesn't care about your dodge. That's why it's a kind of nice stat, but again, against spells, poison, disease, whatever, they don't care about dodge. So that's why Mastery is kinda. But then with the meta build, they really don't like haste. Compared to the single button build that we play with, we like haste. So they don't like haste, we like haste, and then you can see the rotation here. So basically what I recommend for this build here is going with agility, versatility, haste, crit, mastery, where if you kind of think like you want to start with this and then maybe one day you want to go into like a meta build, then you want to get the stats below instead. So yeah, that's the stats. So now we're going to talk about the talents. As you can see in the agenda, it is time for talents. So talents is always the interesting one, because what talents have I taken, what have I done that no one else is doing, and so on, so on, so on. My talents is always focused on still very close to the meta specs you find everywhere on the internet, but also changing stuff so it is more fitting for the single button controller players, like people who likes to play with a controller, less spells in generally. As you can see, we don't have many spells because I have tried to take a lot of active spells out and basically having a lot of passives, which makes us very nice. But let's go through it. The first I'm going to talk about is I will start here at the left side in the monk tree. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Shadowpan tree in the middle, and then the Brewmaster. You might be thinking, why have I chosen Shadowpan over Master of Harmony? Basically, Shadowpan is a passive one that increases damage. It's also it's the tank right now who deals most damage in the game. So, and it's also the tank spec that most monk tanks are actually using. It's kind of like 10% of tanks are using Shadowpan, where 4% is using Master of Harmony. Master of Harmony does have a very cool little cooldown, which is very nice. You know, basically it integrates into another cooldown, but it has like a very nice little burst when it comes to this. But the thing is, you have to play around it. You need to like know what it is and play around it. Where the Shadowpan, you don't have to think about it. It's just a passive that every time you have got enough of energy, it basically does a big damage burst. So yeah. So today we're going to take the spec that deals most damage and most people play with. So we're going to go with Shadowpan. But again, we're going to start with Monk here on the left side, Shadowpan, and Brewmaster. I'm not going to talk about all the talent trees. I'm not just going to sit and read up why I've taken everything. No. I'll just pick a few important things on why I have taken those and let you know why it makes this build what it is. So basically, first of all, we have Vivification. And by the way, I am from Denmark, so please don't think about how I pronounce the spells, because I am not a born English speaker. So yeah, I know that sometimes when I read up these spells, it sounds horrible. But we have this one here, Vivification. So every time after casting Rising Sun Kick, your next Vivify becomes instant and its healing is increased by 20. This effect also reduces the energy cost of Vivify by 75%. So basically, every time you use the spell called Rising Sun Kick, which we have up here, very, very strong damage deal ability, basically deals 650k damage. Our self-healing, well, not self-healing, we can use Vivify on everyone, but our healing here, which is basically healing for 750k healing, is instant and now also increases healing by 20 and also reduce the cost of energy by 75. So basically costs 30 energy now, but you can imagine how it is. It's going to cost like almost nothing. So very, very nice. So basically every time you can see in the single button rotation that it's when it's about to throw the Rising Sun kick, then you use Vivify and boom. You basically have like a very strong self-heal. Very, very nice. I like that. That's why I kind of like wanted to highlight it, because it's just like a really nice self-heal that you can just keep up all the time. Then we also have here Chi Wave. Most people, they play with Chi Burst, but that's another spell in your action bar. And what I'm trying with this build here is to make a really good build with less abilities. So we don't want Chi Burst. I don't want Chi Burst. I want Chi Wave. So basically, every 50 seconds, your next Rising Sun kick or Vivify release a wave of Chi energy that flows through the friends and foes, dealing 31k nature damage or 79k healing, bounces up to 7 times to the target within 25 yards. So basically, imagine you're attacking a boss and you're using your Rising Sun kick, then it releases this Chi wave that jumps to the target, deals 30k damage, jumps back to you, 80k healing, and you know then it just keeps like bouncing 7 times. I like it. It's a passive. It's super cool, especially like if you're fighting like a boss and you have no one close to you, then it basically just jump between you and the boss and it heals you quite a lot. So that's why I like this one here. Very, very nice. And again, it's passive. We also have Ring of Peace, which I kind of find interesting. It's another spell you have to use, but basically it forms a ring on the ground where enemies cannot go into. So if you have a situation where maybe the healer is not healing you because something, I don't know, then you could use Ring of Peace to push away the mobs and kind of like give you like a little break from them or give you a chance to self-heal. Or if you're doing a delve and you're about to die, you could use it, push them away and, you know, do a little self-heal or something like that. It's just a nice spell to like give you a break sometimes when needed. Beside of that, we also have improved Touch of Death. This one here is super important because normally Touch of Death can only be used like when the mob has the same HP or like lower than you. But since bosses usually have way more HP than us, that's not good. You're not really going to be able to use it. But now this one here, Touch of Death, can now be used on targets with less than 15% health remaining, dealing 35 of your maximum health in damage. So basically 35% of my 1.5 million HP is going to be damaged, and I can now use it whenever they have 15% HP. We also have another increase down here. So Touch of Death increases your damage by 5% for 30 seconds after being cast, and its cooldown is reduced by 90 seconds. So basically we have a really, really strong finisher, which is kind of helping like your team. When you get the boss down to 50% health, you're doing quite a big part getting it down, which I kind of like. Back to the self-healing part, we have here Vigorious Expulsion. So Expel Harm's healing is increased by 5% and its critical strike chance is increased by 15. Basically, Expel Harm here is a spell that, if we get the spell book up here, it's basically a spell that expel negative chi from your body, healing for 150k and dealing 10% of the amount healed as nature damage to an enemy within 20 yards. So basically, it just instantly heals you 150k. But the thing is, now you probably think, okay, you have 1.5 million HP, but this one here is healing 150k. How does that make sense? Why is that good? So basically, it draws in the positive char of all your healing spheres to increase the healing of Expel Harm. So basically, let me show. I know I'm jumping a bit now, but we have 2 talents over here. We have Gift of the Ox and Spirit of the Ox. So basically, Gift of the Ox, when you take damage, you have a chance to summon a healing sphere. A summoned healing sphere is visible only to you. Moving through this healing sphere heals you for 350k healing. Nice. Rising Sun Kick and Blackout Kick have a chance to summon a healing sphere. And again, it's a healing sphere that deals 350k healing. Now you think, okay, but isn't that like kind of annoying because then we have to run around and find these orbs? No, because as I said before, this one here draws in the positive chi of all your healing spheres to increase the healing of Expel Harm. Basically, when you have taken a lot of damage, you have used a lot of Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, you have maybe like 5, 10 orbs around you. The moment you click on Expel Harm, it takes in all the orbs to you and give you a massive healing. So, and again, this spell has 5-second cooldown. You can of course save it for whenever you have high enough orbs. You can of course save it for like when you actually need to use it, or you could just spam it. Like, it's up to you. You can also just spam it and spam it. You could even macro it into number 1, which I don't really recommend. But like you could also just spam it whenever that's ready, because it deals damage, it heals, and it takes in all the orbs. So by using 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 kind of ish, you're gonna be self-healing a lot, you're gonna be damaging a lot, so which is pretty cool. Next one, we have Strength of the Spirit. So basically, Strength of the Spirit, Expel Harm's healing is increased by up to 100% based on your missing health. So that basically means that this Expel Harm can actually heal up to 100% more healing based on how much healing health you're needing. So if you're down on 10, 20% health and you use it, it's gonna heal a lot. So, which is nice again. It just makes it even stronger. Next one up. This one is a bit controversial one, but we have the one here called Yu'lon's Grace. Most people, they play with Diffuse Magic, which is a super strong buff. But basically what it does is reduce magic damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds and transfer all current active harmful magic effects on you back to the original casters if possible. So basically it reduces all the damage you take from magic by 60%, and it gives back the debuffs to everyone, like the harmful effects they have done back to themselves. So you might be saying, okay, that's quite cool, why are you not taking that one? Again, this one here gives us another ability we keep to using. You already have like 1, 2, 3, 4 cooldowns we need to keep using. This one would just give you number 5 cooldown, which is not what I'm trying with this build. So that's why I actually went with Yu'lon's Grace. So Yu'lon's Grace is quite cool, because whenever I look at the healing meter playing with this build here, it's actually always like in the top 3 of my healing, which is quite cool. So basically what it does is find resilience in the flow of chi in battle, gaining a magic absorb shield for 1% of your max health every 3 seconds in combat, stacking up to 10%. So basically every time that's gone, like every 3 seconds, you basically get a shield on you that absorbs 1% of your max health for magic, which is nice. I mean, it's just passively magic absorption all the freaking time. And funny enough, when I look at like the damage healing, it's always like, as you can see right now, it's in my top 3. It has basically absorbed 2.3 million damage. Pretty nice, I would say. So again, I just like it. It's a passive, it's nice, and I don't have to think about using another cooldown. So yeah, we're almost done with the monk tree now. Again, most of the other stuff here is just passives, you know, dealing more damage, more healing, blah, 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 blah. Here we have another one, which is very controversial. Most people like to play with Dampen Harm, which reduces all damage you take by 20 to 50 for 10 seconds, with larger attacks being reduced by more. So basically, again, a very strong reduction cooldown. But as you know, I'm trying to make this build as possible, like most solo friendly, most less key binding friendly, you know, basically just like a fun build to play. That's why I have taken Dance of the Wind, which just passively increases your dodge chance by 5%. I know that I said earlier in this video that dodge isn't the greatest thing in the world, because it doesn't reduce the magic stuff you'd get on you, debuffs, poison, because dodge is for like physical attacks, which you can see here. Dodge, well, it actually doesn't say much. But yeah, okay, never mind. But yeah, but still, it's a passive, it gives more dodge. It's nice when you're against the boss that basically just hits you, and they usually, most of the time, just do that. And then it basically just gives us more dodge chance, which is nice. And for the last thing in the monk tree, we have here Bounce Back. When hit When a hit deals more than 12% of your maximum health, reduce all damage you take by 20% for 4 seconds. And this can happen every 30 seconds. Basically, every time someone is like the boss, you know, sometimes they have this like in raids where you need to swap tanks. They deal like a very like big damage on you. This could be one of them where it deals more than 12% of your health, and then boom, 20% reduction. Very nice. Very nice. So now we have Shadowpan here in the middle. So basically this tree, what it's about is that every 677 damage you deal, generate a flurry charge. So every time you have done 600k damage, you get a flurry charge. Stay on with me. For each 240 energy you spend, unleash all flurry charges, dealing 68k physical damage per charge. So basically, you keep building up charges every time you deal 600k damage. And then once you have used 240 energy, you release them all in one big burst, and you just deal an insane amount of damage. So, which is pretty nice. And it has a lot of like passive abilities in here. For example, the one I also want to talk about is Protect and Serve. Your PvP always heal you for an additional 30% of its total value. So basically, you get more healing from PvP, which is nice. The last one here also has like additional things that it can do. Every 10 Flurry Strike becomes infused with Wisdom of the Wall, gaining one of the following effects for 16 seconds. So basically, like every time every 10 Flurry Strike is giving you one of these random buffs here, which can be critical strike damage increased by 30, dodge and critical strike chance increased by 25 of your versatility bonus. Flurry Strike deals 140k shadow damage to all uncontrolled enemies within 6 yards, or effect of your master is increased by 25. So, you know, passive. We like that. So yeah, very nice, very nice. Then we have the the Brewmaster tree in the right side. I will try and make it a bit fast so the video doesn't end up on being an hour. Basically, we have Kick Smash in the top. Very nice AoE ability. You basically smash a kick on the target, dealing 300k damage. It will like attack everyone at like 8 yards, reducing their movement speed by 20, and deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Also, grant shuffle for 5 seconds and reduce the remaining cooldown on your brews by 3 seconds. And when I say my brews, it's basically we have the spell called Purifying Brew, which I will come back to when we talk about rotation. Now I also mentioned shuffle, which is the next one we've got to talk about here. So basically, you're learning shuffle during combat, increasing the effectiveness of your stagger by 100%. Shuffle is granted by attacking enemies with your kick smash, blackout kick, and spinning crane kick. So basically, every time you use one of these freeze abilities, this stagger ability you have, the way to stagger spells, if you don't know, you can see here in the top left corner that I have a third bar on my HP. Every time we take damage, we take some of that damage and spread it out. It's kind of like taking a loan in the bank. Instead of paying 100 grand now, you're taking it over 13 years. Instead here, what we're doing, it's kind of a fun example, I know. But basically what we do here, I hope there's one in here, stagger, there we go. You shrug off attacks, delaying a portion of physical damage based on your agility, instead taking it over 10 seconds. Affects magical attacks at 58% effectiveness. Gain up to 50% mastery based on your current level of stagger. So, as you can see here, whenever we take a big portion of damage, we basically, whenever we take damage, we delay it over 10 seconds. So again, kind of like a loan that we basically reduce damage, we take damage, and we put it over 10 seconds. So what this shuffle does is that every time we use one of these three abilities, kick smash, blackout kick, spinning crane kick, we basically, the effects of stagger is increased by 100%, which is nice. We like that because this is our way of surviving as a Brewmaster Monk. This is, if you've played a healer, and you try a healing at Brewmaster Monk, you will notice that they don't take much damage, but they keep taking damage. You know, they don't take like big spikes like Blood Death Knights where the HP is like, it keeps going like this. They more like, they keep like going up and down, up and down, up and down, because they have this stack on, which is quite nice. I like that. But yeah, so basically every time you use these freeze abilities, you will be shuffling. Then we of course have our Purifying Brew, which is clearing 50% of all the delayed stagger, because we of course, we could keep all the staggers, which would just deal damage to us. But can you imagine if we could somehow get this stagger off? It's kind of like someone coming and telling you, hey, I know you have a loan on $150K dollars. Can I remove 50% of that? That's kind of this spell. It basically removes 50% of all the stagger damage we have staggering that will come in 10 come over 10 seconds. But it just removes 50% of it, which is pretty nice. And it also only have a 15-second cooldown. And the more haste you have, which is nice because we like haste in this build, it reduces the cooldown of the stagger. Well, the Purifying Brew. Also, this one here, Kick Smash, is reducing the cooldown by 3 seconds on our brews, which is nice. So yeah, it will keep going further down. Just to finish off the Purifying Brew, we also have this one down here, which is basically doing that Purifying Brew will instantly heal you for 25% of the purified stagger damage. So imagine you're going to remove 50% of all your stagger damage. Now, 25% of that is going to be healed back to you. Nice. So every time basically you're using Purifying Brew, it's going to heal you a lot, which we like. We already talked about Gift of the Ox and Spirit of the Ox, which is basically dropping a healing bars that Expel Harm is going to draw in. Then we also have Elixir of Determination. Very nice also. When you fall below 40% health, you get an absorb shield for 30% of your recently purified damage or a minimum of your maximum health, and can only happen every 15 seconds. So pretty nice. Every time you get below 40% health, you just get like a big shield, which is pretty nice. We also have Celestial Infusion. This one here is so important. I'm gonna try explain it as best as I can because I had to read so much about it before I understood it. If any one of you have played warrior tanks, you had a spell called Ignore Pain. This is our Ignore Pain. It's basically the same. It's the same spell as Ignore Pain. So what happened is, when we use this spell called Celestial Infusion, a strong herbal brew that purify chi escaping your body into cellular, absorbing 30% of incoming damage up to 1.2 million damage. So basically what this means is that when you use this one here, you basically get like a reduction of 30% of damage. So now if a boss hits you for 10k damage, it hits you for like some damage. Now 30% of that damage is getting absorbed. It can only absorb up to 1.2 million damage, these 30%. So whenever it gets up to 1.2, it disappears. But Purifying Stagger damage increase absorption by up to 200%. So basically every time you're using Purifying Brew for removing Stagger on yourself, you are actually increasing the amount of the shield can absorb. So when you use this cooldown here, Celestial Infusion, it's important to try, you could probably build up some stagger, use the shield, and now with your number 3 here, Purifying Brew, which has 2 charges, you can remove the stagger, and then the shield is going to get stronger, 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 stronger. It just keep getting stronger, which is super nice. So if you play it right, you can make totally we can get this shield up to 3.3 million HP, and then it goes off. But still, very nice. Very nice. Of course, it also kind of require you to use number 3 to actually make the shield stronger. Beside of that, we have High Torrent Stagger is 4% more effective at delaying damage, and you gain up to 10% haste based on your current level of Stagger. We also got a more mastery from the stagger itself based on how much stagger we have. So now we know that we get more haste from stagger, we get more mastery from stagger, which is pretty cool. We also have Exploding Keg, which is basically we throw a very big keg, and you can actually both throw this on enemies or friendly, and it deals a lot of damage to everyone around him, causing your attacks against them to deal 30k additional fire damage, and causing their melee attacks to deal 100% reduced damage for the next 3 seconds. Deals a lot of damage, you deal more damage to them, and basically they cannot do any damage for the next 3 seconds. Well, at least their melee attacks. If it's a caster, doesn't do anything. Has to be melee attacks. Beside of that, we have, this one is quite special. So basically we have the Invoke Neo Sao, the Black Ox. It's basically a second tank you are summoning which deals damage, and takes some of your stagger damage. So while active, 40% of the damage delayed by stagger is instead staggered by Neosau, which is your pet, and Neose is healed for 100% of your purified stagger. So basically, every time you purify stagger, it gets healed, and every time you take damage from stagger, it takes 40% of that. So super great cooldown because it basically just helps you in any situation. It deals more damage, it takes stagger, blah 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 blah. So very nice. The next one here is saying your damage ability have a chance to have an increased chance to invoke Neosu, causing him to charge to your target, location, and stomp. The cooldown of Neosu, the Black Arts, is also reduced by 60 seconds. Yeah. The last thing we're going to talk about, I know, shit, we talk about talent for 20 minutes. Jeez. The last thing we're going to talk about is we have Weapon of Order, which is just a very nice cooldown for the next 30 seconds. Your mastery is increased by 9%. Additionally, Kick Smash cooldown is reset instantly, so basically when you use it, you will be able to use a Kick Smash right after. And enemies hit by Kick Smash or Rising Sun Kick takes 8% increased damage from you for 10 seconds and can stack up to 4 times, so basically it can 8 times, 4 times. Also, this one here is getting improved by 2 spells below here. Basically here, when this one here, when you use it, it deals 600k damage, and reduce cooldown of your Weapon of Order by 4 seconds, each affected enemy to a maximum of 20 seconds. So basically, it explodes now, deal a lot of damage. The more people hit by the damage, it now reduces the cooldown even further. Also, this one here, Weapons of Order, which was this one here, calls forth again. We get this pet here again, the Black Ox, which come and helps us for 12 seconds, which is pretty nice. Okay, so that's the talents. That was freaking 25 minutes. Let's get to the rotation. So when it comes to rotation, you basically, of course, whenever you're going to start an encounter, you can see I'm starting from here. When I'm very far away, you can see it wants to use Exploding Cake because it's basically the only ability we have that can use this far away. Of course, if you move a little bit closer, you will see now it switches to Kick Smash, and when you go even further, it switches to Blackout Kick. So technically, if it's a mob that has like a lot of mobs around it, you could use the first one here, which is basically exploding around everyone else. Now, of course, we can use Kick Smash, and now it will start our normal rotation. As you see with the normal rotation now here using, you can see here we're using energy, we keep getting shields from various sources, a bit self-healing, and you can see we're slowly building up a stagger. You can see the stagger is here below here. Very nice. Now, of course, we can see we have a lot of orbs around us, and you can see how many orbs you have by looking at Expel Harm. It basically has a number in the right corner, which shows that we have 5 orbs around us. So if you press 2 now, and Expel Harm, you can see we got a huge healing. We basically got a healing by 2.5 billion healing, and the spell itself, Expel Harm, actually doesn't show up because it didn't do too much healing. I think it reset it. But basically, it deals like an okay healing, but all the orbs around you get sucked in and heals you for a lot. But you could also just use it whenever you can, because as you can see there, it gave us like a 400k healing, but also it sucks in all the orbs around us, which is nice. Again, you can see here, boom, 1 million HP healing. Nice, very nice. Of course, whenever you have your stagger up, you can use your number 3 here, Purifying Brew, which is going to remove, you can basically see remove half of the stagger and heals for a lot. Because basically what it does is that it instantly heals for 20 bites on the damage cleared. So now we can use it again, it heals, and I can use my Expel Harm, and it heals me for all the orbs around me. So basically number 3 is healing, number 2 is healing. Very nice. And also number 3 is removing our stagger by 50%. So you can see, whenever you need healing, press 2 and 3. Then we have Vivify. We could put that to number 4 since it's also healing. And remember, every time we're using Rising Sun Kick, we can now use Vivify for free and also heals even more. So let's see here if we can get in a Rising Sun Kick. I think we already had one before. If it actually wanted to use Rising Sun Kick, that would be nice. I think, geez, am I really having to do it myself? Just doing so we don't die. Rising Sun Kick, there we go, boom. Now using Rising Sun Kick here, you can see in the top right corner here, your next Vivify is instant and its healing is increased by 20%. Cool. Boom. Big self healing. Boom. Purify Brew. Boom. Using my number 2, Expel Harm. And you can see, basically we have 3 like healing abilities. And again, based on the rotation, whenever it uses it, you can see again, now we can use instant healing Vivify again. We should be able to... Yeah, it did it, and then I recasted it. But basically, yeah. Number 2 heals, absorb all the orbs. Number 3, remove stagger damage, heal you based on that. And number 4 is only... I mean, number 4 you can use also just like if you're in a bad situation, you could just like spam it because it costs energy. So you can see I can still just spam it if I wanted. Or you can of course wait till the rotation is automatically using Rising Sun Kick. It should be focusing on using Rising Sun Kick a bit more, but I can see it's not using it. Now it did. Now it did at least. So now I can use number 4 instantly. Nice. If you are about to lose the aggro on the mob, the boss, whatever, you can use number 5, which is Provoke. You know, boom, come back to me. If they're about to cast something big, like, you know, a Chaos Ball, Power Blast, something you don't want to, like, get on you because then you're going to die, then you basically use number 6, which is an Interrupt spell. So, number 6, Interrupt, Spear Hand Strike. Number 5, Provoke, get aggro. Number 4, self-healing, instant after Rising Sun Kick. Number 3, basically removing our stagger and self-healing us. Number 2, heals us and draw in all the orbs around us. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Then you can see here on my mouse click here above, it's basically Detox, which remove all poison and disease effects from the target. So you don't have to play with it. I mean, you could pick something else if you wanted, but it's just nice to be able to help your teammates removing a poison or disease. Let's say that a boss is throwing some really nasty disease or poison, then you can help the healer removing them. It's up to you if you want to play with it, but I can recommend it. Then we also had the Celestial Infusion, which is the Absorb Shield I told you about. So you can see here, if we go a bit away and I use it, there we go. Now we have the Absorb up here. And then whenever, you can see right now I can absorb again up to that damage. Whenever we Purifying Brew, it basically makes it stronger. So give me some damage, come on boss. And yeah, it didn't. This one doesn't deal so much damage at the start. But basically every time I Purify Brew, it makes the shield strong again, which is very nice. Very nice. Then we of course have our E, invoke the Black Ox, summons the Black Ops, helps with damage, and 40% of the stagger damage we take is going to that one here. And every time we use Purifying Brew, you can see it gets very big self-healing as well. So you kind of have to like Purify Brew to also keep up your Ox health. So you have like a very little cool some symbiotic relationship. We also have Weapon of Order, which is increasing your mastery by 9. Additional Kick Smash cooldown is reset. And enemies hit by Kick Smashes and Rising Sun Kick take up to 8% increased damage. And it stacks up to 4 times for 10 seconds. And as well, because we took this one here, it explodes, dealing 700k damage. And this one here, it basically summons as well also the Ox. So if I use it now, boom, it exploded, deals a lot of damage, and summons my Ox again for 12 seconds. So basically I summon my Ox from my E ability and my R ability, which is the Black Ox itself and the Weapon of Order. Very nice. Then we also have Fortifying Brew. It basically increases your maximum health by 20 and reduce all damage you take by 20. Yeah, just a very nice cooldown because it just makes it stronger. Yeah. Then we also have Crackling Jade Light. I don't know when you would need it, but like if you have like a tank like a phase where I don't know, you cannot reach the boss for some reason because he's doing something, you could use it for like additional damage. Not really that needed. Like we could probably place it up here, like up here. Then we have Ring of Peace. Again, this one here pushes away the mobs, so you could like go here or stand in the middle and they will keep getting pushed away. And you have like a chance to like stand and, you know, self-heal with Vivify, for example. Because you can also just spam that one. And Vivify also summons the Chi Wave as well with your Rising Sun Kick. Then we also have Leg Sweep, which basically stuns everyone around us. Very nice if you have 5 mobs, they all casting something you really don't want them to cast, and you use Leg Sweep and you stun all of them. We also have paralyzes, which basically paralyzes the target, so it cannot do anything, but if someone attacks it, it basically goes off. It's quite nice. In PvE, you can actually paralyze up a target up to 1 minute. So for example, imagine you have like 3 very strong mobs, you paralyze the one on the left, and for 1 minute he's not going to do anything, or she. But if someone attacks it, it gets out of it. It's kind of, it's basically just a sheep. We also have Tiger Lust, which is increasing our speed, running speed by 70% and remove all roots and snares. We also have our roll, of course. You know, you can change the key binding for that one if you want. But yeah, we have our 3 charges of roll. Also, we have a passive which basically makes us be able to double jump after roll, which is this one down here. This one, this one here. Lastly, we have Transcendence. Basically, you can leave a body here. You can do Transcendence. You leave a body, a little image of your body, and then you can use Transcendence and Transfer, and you switch position. Nothing big. But that's the rotation. That's basically it. You just press 1 all the time. Just press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It will automatically use single target AoE abilities depending on how many there is. And the only thing you have to do is make sure that you keep pressing 2 whenever you need that self-healing from the orbs, and you have to press 3 every time you need to purify some of your stagger, and you press 4 whenever you need a self-healing. And don't worry, it's always going to be instantly because it keeps using Rising Sun Kick. But, you know, number 2 and 4, you can kind of save them to whenever you need a bit healing, and 3 whenever the stagger gets up. Yeah. But let's get to the gameplay so you can actually see this in action in a dungeon. But keep in mind, if you want this talent build, the UI build I have here, you can find it on my Discord in the description. So go to the description, and there's a Discord link. Go there, and in the very bottom of the Discord, there's like a forum room called Single Button Builds UI, and in there you will find both the talent string and the UI string, which you can copy directly into the game. But let's get to the dungeon. So here we go. Rookery Landing, easy dungeon. So we're gonna start pressing 1. You saw that one got one-shotted because of our touch of death, which is pretty cool. You can see it automatically uses AoE abilities, so you don't even have to think about, like, you know, using AoE abilities to keep aggro. It will automatically use all that for you. So as you can see, pretty smooth so far. The only thing I did was pressing 1. I will of course use my number 2 and number 4 whenever I need self-healing, and my number 3 whenever I get a bit, like, also of course when I need healing, but mostly if my stagger gets too big. We're gonna be using our speed now because it's normal, so we don't need to like pull the entire room. If it was mythic, you would pull the entire room, but on this level here we don't need to do that. Now we are getting a bit more damage. Well, actually we don't really take damage. So we just gotta keep it nice with this. As you can see right now, I'm really not taking any damage. So I'm not gonna use my brew or anything like that, since it doesn't really make sense when there's no damage. Maybe we're gonna take a bit more damage now. So I could use my shield now. Now we absorb 30% of the damage now by using this one here. It's now reduced. And of course, every time I use my purifying, it will increase the shield. But since I'm not really taking any damage, yeah, I can't really upgrade my shield. There we go. Very nice. Was that my... yeah, my touch of death basically dealt for 11 million damage. That's quite crazy. But as you can see, touch of death is a nasty spell. Are they stuck up there? Did they go in combat or something like that? Well, I don't know. Let's just continue. I can't die anyway. So now we don't have a healer at the moment, I believe. So now it's going to be fun to see a bit more damage actually coming out. So we're going to use a Purified Brew. An instant Vivify healing. Very nice. Still really don't know what the healer is doing. And there we go. Again, as you can see right now, I'm basically just pressing 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. could heal that mage. There we go. Since you can also use the instant VP on someone else. So if you see someone needing, like, you know, a bit healing, you could also use your VP on them if you have, like, if you want to do it. And Ring of Peace, you can see here, if I use my Ring of Peace, it's basically pushing them away, so I could, like, get a bit space from them, in case I wanted. Just in case we wanted. Pressing 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We can try use my Weapon of Order, basically boom, big explosion, deals damage to everyone, and giving some nice stats and summoning in my little ox as well. Let's do roll. And let's pull a bit more. And again, I am just pressing 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. I could use my shield. I could use my ox, but I'm kind of like saving it for another, like, if we actually needed it. But as you can see, pretty good healing from the ox itself. The spirit of the ox, like those orbs we are creating, heals pretty crazy. Some of the other tank builds, they also like tank spec classes, they kind of like help other people getting healed, but Monk doesn't do that too much. I know we have like Chi Wave, but that's kind of like the only thing we have. Else we are pretty self-focused. So yeah, pressing 1, it automatically uses AoE abilities. We could use my Ox here for getting a bit more damage. Why not? Getting away, since he's gonna jump me. There we go. Roll, speed, roll. Pressing 1, 1, 1. In a higher level dungeon, like mythic dungeons, stuff like that, of course you would be using more purifying since you would be taking more damage. But as you can see, my purifying right now doesn't really move.
I do not like that it feels darker and colder as we go down. But there are more survivors to rescue. What is that?
Again, pressing 1, 1, 1. Even when you run, keep like trying to keep facing the enemies behind you to like keep throwing random spells at them. Just to try hold aggro. We're gonna use R. It's a big explosion, Weapon of Order. Very big explosion on them, all of them. It's kind of like nice if you like is a bit afraid of, are you gonna hold aggro on this entire pack you just pulled? Then you use Weapon of Order and it explodes. We're gonna heal that rogue. You know, I had an instant cast Vivi, I didn't need healing myself, so why not help the healer a little bit? Oh, somehow they pulled all this. But don't worry, my number 1 is getting aggro on everything. Instant healing again. To the little rogue. Very nice. Go. We could also stun them all using my leg sweep. Because when basically you're stunning them all, they can't do damage to you. I wish they would do a bit more damage to me, because right now I feel like a bit godlike with this build. But yeah, whatever. And again, most of the time, as you see me right now, I'm just pressing 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. And if I needed self-healing, I would be using number 2, number 4 as well, and number 3 for like getting some of my purifying stacks off. Now let's get some more damage out, so we're gonna use my Ox, and we're also gonna use my Weapon of Order, which technically it actually has 2 stacks on the Ox, but I don't see 2 Oxes. Oh, interesting. well, whatever. But as you can see, it's a tank spec that deals a lot of damage, like Shadowpan, Brewmaster Monks. They just deal a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. It's the most damaging tank right now. If you go to websites and look at the status stage, you can see Brewmaster Monks is doing something like 4.1 million DPS or something like that. I can't remember it, but it's crazy. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. This was my little single button Brewmaster guide video. I will of course finish. I think we only need one tank after this, which is the Vengeance Demon Hunter. So yeah, I'll do the Vengeance Demon Hunter next one, and then we're gonna go to the DPSs, which is gonna be fun. Again, you can go to my Discord and get the talent. In case you want the talent, you can go to my Discord and get the talents, or even my UI configuration. You can find it on my Discord. There will be a room called Single Button Builds UI, and there will be the 2 strings down there. So thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe if you want to be sure that you see all my other guides I'm gonna make. But yeah, next one is gonna be Vengeance Demon Hunter, and then after that we have all the tanks, all the healers, and we're gonna start with all the DPS. So yeah, fun. Thanks for watching, have a great day, bye.